Good morning, everyone. I trust you're all keeping well and staying safe as we look to a different Christmas time to the one we're normally used to. This year will certainly be one to remember. While I was watching a film recently, I noticed that I could hear the stereo effect on the soundtrack on our basic TV, which is unusual because it's hard to discern most of the time. It reminded me of the days before COVID-19 when one could visit a cinema which was set up for stereophonic sound, or surround sound as it's more commonly known. This is a feature where sound is produced from speakers set around the auditorium rather than just at the front, and the sound can be channeled to each speaker individually so that the overall effect can be changed to enhance the experience for the listener. For example, in a storm scene, the noise of the wind can be made to revolve around the auditorium so that the listener seems to be in the middle of the storm. This effect was attributed to Walt Disney, who wanted his audiences to feel part of the story, not just watching on. But surround sound had been used thousands of years before to great effect. And I've got a couple of examples today. First, in Joshua 6, we read how the Israelites walked around the city of Jericho for 6 days, with just the trumpets sounding. And remember that there were thousands of Israelites, not just a little group, so they would probably have encircled most of the city walls. On the 7th day they walked around as before, but for 7 times. Then on a signal from the trumpets they all shouted. We're not told what they shouted, but I'm sure it wasn't just one word. They kept on shouting. Imagine the sound as the shout went from one area to the next, encircling the whole city. The noise would have been intense as it rang around the walls. And the account tells us that as the people shouted, the walls collapsed and the city was taken. Secondly, in Nehemiah 12, after the walls of Jerusalem had been rebuilt by the Jews in the face of much opposition from their enemies, Nehemiah gave instructions for the dedication of the walls as a sign of a new beginning for the people. He assigned 2 large choirs to walk around the walls in opposite directions from a gate at the south end of the city, and the priests were to accompany them with the trumpets. Again, imagine the power of the sound as they circled around the city on both sides. It was so loud that in verse 43 tells us that it was heard far away. The first incident was a shout of victory. Joshua 6:16 says, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." The second incident was a shout of praise. Nehemiah 12:43 says they were rejoicing at what God had done in overcoming the opposition of Sanballat and the others. Normally at Christmas we would hear choirs singing carols and giving praise for the birth of Jesus, either in our churches or out in the open air. This year though, we might not be able to create surround sound, but each one of us can sing his praise for the things he has done for us to those that we meet on a daily basis, the direction that he gives in our lives, the comfort in times of trouble, and most of all, the great gift of the way of salvation. God bless you all and have a really blessed Christmas. Amen.